You hear your stomach calling.
It's shouting!
Burrito! Burrito! Burrito!
Let's gather our ingredients and build this the Aussie way every day. Make it wild, make it savory, make it loud, just like Aussie would. No utensils needed, scarf it down and build another one. Have 900, just like Aussie. Aussie's on top of the burrito.
Hear your stomach calling.
Aussie's on top of the burrito.
Hear your stomach calling.
Franchise Demise, a tragic ending to great horror cinema. You waited too long, you went too far. Shame, shame, who do we blame? Directors, actors, time or fans, let history show the best, not the tired, useless recreations of past victory. Franchise Demise, a tragic ending to great horror cinema. Franchise Demise, a tragic ending to great horror cinema. Howdy, gang, and welcome to the first ever edition of Franchise Demise. And we're going to be talking about the Phantasm franchise here in just a little bit. Apologies for being so late. I'm, over 30 minutes late because this gal took a nappy nap and didn't have a lot to do to prepare for this, and I think that was the problem, that the problem in there. So I just put on a movie, and I had my alarm set. The alarm went off, turned the alarm off, and dozed back off. That lesson learned. I do that way yonder too often. So apologies for that. For those of you that were on time at 9 p.m., I do apologize for that. But I'm here now, and we're going to start talking about the Phantasm franchise and how I feel that it went off the rails with the final film. We're also going to talk about what a great franchise it was prior to them. So we're going to talk about several different film franchises, horror film franchises, during this series of Franchise Demise episodes. And so I hope you guys and gals enjoy this. I hope, maybe there's even a little friendly debate that will go on during these. Because some people may not feel that, there was a demise in these franchises that I'm going to talk about, and that's fine. I love me a little healthy debate. So I'm going to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way, and then we're going to get started talking about the Phantasm franchise. Tomorrow night, I do have a horror movie rewind. We're going to be talking about goofs and trivia from the film Blood Harvest. Yes, that Blood Harvest starring Tiny Tim in a horror film role, folks. I don't think that was too much of a stretch for Tiny Tim, honestly, but we're going to talk about like I said, Goose and trivia from the film Blood Harvest tomorrow night, starting hopefully if I can get my butt in gear at 9 p.m. Eastern time, folks. We've got another, excuse me, we've got another, They're All Messed Up, coming up on Thursday night, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to be talking about the movies Death Carries a Cane and Death Smiles on a Murderer. Friday, I'm not really sure what there will be. There could be a Friday Foolish. There could not be a Friday Foolish. If there's not a Friday Foolish, I will try my best to put in some sort of programming that we can have for Friday. So you guys and gals aren't left empty-handed. There are no watch-alongs this weekend because I had planned to go to Horror Hound Weekend, but I'm going to announce again that due to certain restraints, mainly on my finances, I have opted to skip Horror Hound this time. I should be going to Scarefest, so hopefully I can get some media passes for Scarefest, and hopefully I will be able to film some actual stuff from it's inside the convention at Scarefest this year. So y'all can look forward to that. I've got programming up for next week. I'm on the ball now. If I can just come in on time, we'll be doing really, really good. Also, for those of you that were in here early enough to see it, I am planning on doing a special movie munchies as a tribute to not only Halloween, but to Ozzy Osbourne and Ozzy Osbourne's love of burritos. I had a promo for Ozzy's October Burrito. It's going to take place on October 26th at some point. Now, those of you that have watched my latest movie munchies, and I haven't had one in a while, know that I now do them all pre-recorded. So it will drop at some point on Sunday, October 26th, the last Sunday before Halloween, folks. So I'm off this Halloween, so hopefully I can do some extra special, like a video diary like thing for y'all, like I did last year, showing different things at different parts of the day on into the night on Halloween. And maybe Steve will be able to help me out this time because it is on a Friday. Okay. So maybe he'll stay up a little bit later and y'all get to see Steve on this little video diary. We're going to be handing out candy to the trick-or-treaters. Hopefully the weather cooperates. Last year there was some rain, but I still had some trick-or-treaters, and I was happy about that. Maybe we'll have even more trick-or-treaters this year. I got to start getting my candy. The folks, I get my candy way early because I kind of get it in batches, so I'll have plenty of it to hand out to the kiddos. So I guess that's all for housekeeping stuff, other than to say, be sure to head on over to deaditesondeck.com and check out all the new designs and stuff that I have on the shop site. Tell them Post sent you. Again, that's deaditesondeck.com. Also, before I get started, I want to remind everybody that there are a lot of different ways that you can support me and the channel, and many of them don't cost you a dime. I appreciate people that join the channel. I appreciate people that give super chats and super stickers and super thanks and all that stuff. Those things are greatly, greatly appreciated. However, I know that not everybody is made out of money. So these things that I'm getting ready to tell you about, you can do, and they don't cost you a dime. But guess what, folks? They help me immensely because they get me up into the algorithms of YouTube, whatever the hell that is. But it gets you, moving around in those algorithms, okay? So one of the ways is by subscribing. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, please subscribe. It really, really helps me out. And you can be as anonymous as you want to be subscribing. And folks, truth be told, I don't really look. I look at the numbers. I don't dig in to see who's actually subscribed. If you want to tell me you subscribe, that's perfectly fine, but it's not required. Okay. Some people are proud that they subscribe and they say, "Hey, Dana, I subscribed." And, I'll thank you. But I'll thank you guys and gals in general anyway. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Um, Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content I've got coming out. Hit that like button on stuff that you particularly like. Heck, hit the like button on everything if you so desire. It all helps. And also, let your friends and family members know that you think would enjoy the content that I'm putting out. Um, all of these things, they cost you nothing. They cost those that you tell about my channel nothing. Okay. Um, and they help me and they help the channel immensely. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for those that will subscribe in the future, that have subscribed, that are thinking about subscribing, all of that. So let's go ahead and get started with this first episode of Franchise Demise. And I'm going to be talking about Phantasm. Okay. Let's just kick this right off by telling you I was in love the first time I saw Phantasm. And Phantasm became one of my favorite horror films. My favorite horror film of all time is, of course, The Evil Dead, but Phantasm is up there as far as something that I like to watch over and over and over again. This is a movie that I shared with my dad, and my dad enjoyed, even though he said it didn't really make any sense. He still enjoyed it. I've heard Joe Bob Briggs give accolades to Phantasm, even though he says it doesn't make a lick of sense. I don't think this movie needs to. And for all its quirks and all its idiosyncrasies, I think that the director, Don Coscarelli, really knew what he was doing when he created this horror slash, sci-fi film. And it's a little tale of the tall man who comes from another planet, this red planet that we're never ever, we see little snippets of it a lot of time. And the tall man is one evil SOB. And he comes to different worlds, I guess, and different places all over planet Earth, and kills people and then squashes their bodies and puts them in little Ewok outfits. I call them Ewok outfits because that's what they look like. And their brains or their souls or whatever end up in these little silver spheres that he controls. And like I said, I just fell in love with even the character of the tall man. I met Angus Scrimm a few years back before he sadly passed away. And he was a gentleman through and through. He was a fantastic man. But he was good at playing evil when he was playing the tall man in the Phantasm films. And I watched the tall man as well as Mike and Jody and Reggie, your friendly neighborhood ice cream man with a heart of gold and a way with the ladies, Reggie. And Reggie was played by Reggie Bannister. Mike was played by A. Michael Baldwin in most of the films. We had someone else playing him in the second film. And, as much as I like James LaGrosse, or however you pronounce his name. And he was good in part two. I think that there was always something missing with the second part of Phantasm, but that's not where the demise of Phantasm was. You know, the films from the first Phantasm to Phantasm Oblivion, the fourth Phantasm movie, had their ebbs and flows. And the first one will always be my ultimate favorite. But I had favorite parts of all of the films, right? And let me just say this, the music too was fantastic. I have the soundtrack on vinyl for the first Phantasm. I think Steve got it for me. And I absolutely loved listening to it. There was something really, really special about that music, that score. And not only that score, but original songs that were worked on by Bill Thornberry, who played Jody in the film, and Reggie Bannister, who played Reggie the Ice Cream Man in the film. All of that great late 70s vibe, that kick-ass car, the Cuda. I mean, who could not like that? You've got some cool ass characters in a kick ass car going and fighting the ultimate evil and the tall man. I mean, what is not to like about that film? What is not to like about Phantasm? And even though there were ebbs and flows throughout the first Phantasm on up to Phantasm Oblivion, I always found something to like about them. And then we went for years without a Phantasm film. Literally, we went years without a Phantasm film. And first of all, the first four films, Don Coscarelli always had something big to do with them, which I think was the reason why, even though they had ebbs and flows, they were popular, because Don Coscarelli was the creator, and he kept carrying on with film after film after film. And then, it seemed that the Phantasm series was dead in the water. And we would hear, little things here and there, and I would always get excited, and then I wouldn't hear anything anymore. So this went on for a while. And then eventually fans got word that Phantasm Ravager, the fifth film, was coming out. And I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement, even though I thought that the time had really, in all honesty, had come and gone for a new Phantasm film. And, I held out hope, and I really wanted to like Ravager. Steve and I did not end up going to see Ravager at the movies. I'm pretty sure we did not. I think we watched it on demand, or maybe another way. And I'm so happy I didn't go to the movie theater. I did during the revival of the original Phantasm several years ago. I did go and see the original Phantasm at the Baxter Avenue Theater, and absolutely loved it. Loved getting to go see it in the theater. The only thing better than that would be to see it at a drive-in, right? Because I feel like the original Phantasm lends itself to a drive-in setting. Okay. So fast forward to when Phantasm Ravager came out, and Steve and I sat down on our couch and we started to watch it. And I don't hear a lot from Steve, but I think he agreed with me that it was sad. First of all, it didn't have Don Coscarelli at the helm. Second of all, what in the hell was this stuff? Hey, I know Reggie Bannister is older, folks. When I finally met Reggie Bannister, he was not the Reggie Bannister of the early days of the Phantasm movies, right? Everybody gets old. But I I wanted to know what in the hell happened to Reggie, the ice cream vendor who, used double barrel shotguns and was fighting the tall man. You know where Reggie Manster was? Or Reggie, for the character from the Phantasm was? He was a senile old man stuck in a nursing home, being told by Mike and Jody that, this stuff with the tall man, it never existed. It was all in Reggie's head. I'm like, what in the world? Why would you do this? Why would you even make a film like this? I was so sad about that. Here's the other side of that. At the point that they finally decided to make, poor Angus Scrimm was too old and too sick to even be in the film a lot of times. And I think that Angus Scrimm did pass away not long after the film was made. So it was just, Angus Scrimm could not do the type of work that he was capable of doing in past Phantasm movies. There was even a scene of Angus Scrimm laying in the bed in the nursing home next to Reggie, which I just, freaking blew my mind. Okay. The special effects were not just primitive, they were awful. They were awful. There were scenes of gigantic spheres and just the slipshod storyline. Everything was wrong. Everything was wrong with this film. And I have not, literally, folks, I have not seen Ravager since me and Steve sat down and watched it that time. Because it's just too depressing. It's just too depressing. So here's a tip for you filmmakers, and you could choose to listen to me or ignore me, And this tip is, number one, don't wait too long. Number two, don't wait until your big actors in the movie are too old and or sick to be able to perform at the level that fans are used to seeing them. It's detrimental to the actor. It's also detrimental to the fans. I get sad when I even think that about Phantasm Ravager existing, because to me it's not a Phantasm film. I don't know what it is, but it's not a Phantasm film. It's just a sad display. And even though Reggie Bannister is in it, and Michael Baldwin is in it, Bill Thornberry's in it, Angus Scrimm, if I didn't mention him, of course, is in it in some capacity, it's not a Phantasm film for me, folks. And there may be some people that say Phantasm was the best movie of the series. And I would say to that, you are entitled to your own opinion, but I think either you're pulling my leg or you haven't really delved that deeply into the Phantasm series. And that's not making a mean comment. It's just saying everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I would never bully anybody because they didn't believe the way I did. But I would suggest that you go back and look at the film Phantasm Ravager again if you think that much of it, and see if your feelings have stayed the same or they've changed. So the lesson learned from this first episode of Franchise Demise, and I didn't plan on, there's only so many things that you can talk about. And I haven't really seen anybody in the chat, which is okay. If I had, I would have been glad to stay in here and go back and forth with you guys and gals if you wanted to bring anything up. And you're welcome to. I see, one or two people in here right now. You're welcome to come in here and have your say your piece, whatever. But other than that, I'll probably be getting off of here in a few minutes because, I don't like to overstay my welcome is one thing that I don't like with these things. And I like to kind of get to the point, talk about the big points in different things, and then go ahead and call it a night, right? So I want to thank those of you that were, popping in and out of here and watching what good old Dana was talking about in this first episode of Franchise Demise, talking about Phantasm. There's going to be some more of these. They probably won't be regular. They'll probably be random here and there. Whenever I decide to talk about a different film franchise that I think went on the demise. But I thank all of you that were watching me as I navigated through this first episode. And stay tuned for a horror movie rewind tomorrow night, hopefully at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully I don't oversleep. And I can do that for y'all, talking about the Goose and some trivia from Blood Harvest. Also, stay tuned Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of They're All Messed Up. And who knows what I'll have for Friday, folks. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday night, folks. Blast some Aussie and try your best to live the Aussie way. And as always, what I mean by that is don't stay stuck in the past. Move forward in the future in the present and into the future. And don't ever, ever give up on your dreams, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.